Hey there, I am in Washington, D.C., staying at the Westin Hotel, which is wonderful for me because my daughter's name is Westin. The reason I'm coming to you today, what in the world is going on in the real estate industry regarding buyer representation? I'll tell you. Up here in Washington, D.C., our goal to come up here every year with the National Association of Realtors. We come to Washington, D.C. for the Realtors legislative meetings every year. And we meet with our members of Congress on Capitol Hill. I'm the federal political coordinator for James Lankford, so that's my meeting. We're going to be meeting tomorrow afternoon and Wednesday morning, and we're going to be able to visit with him and share with him some of the real estate related bills that are coming through Congress and tell our representatives and our senators how that affects us in Oklahoma. But also, going on besides all of that, if you are familiar with the settlement that has come down against NAR, we have got to change some of our ways of doing business. The real estate landscape is changing, and I just want to tell you a little bit about what you can expect. If you've ever bought or sold a home, you know there's a buyer involved and there's a seller involved. And so the main focus at this point, what we're drilling down on, is the buyer representation. The old way of doing it is the listing agent sits down with the seller and negotiates a commission amount. And that commission amount then is shared with another agent if another agent brings the buyer. And so we're learning a lot, and change oftentimes is good, maybe many times is good. So we're reevaluating all of that. So it's not going to look like that necessarily anymore. There are two things that we know are going to be required of us. Number one, we can no longer share our compensation arrangement on the multiple listing service, which is the MLS. And so that means if I negotiate with the seller and he agrees to pay a certain amount for my services, and in that amount he is willing to compensate the buyer's agent also, I can no longer share that on the multiple listing service. So that means my colleagues in the industry might see that house is listed, but they don't know if there is built-in compensation for them or not. So then that opens up the whole can of worms of how does a buyer's agent get compensated if the listing agent and the seller don't lead with that, right? So that's part of what we're learning this week in Washington, D.C. There have been some fabulous classes talking about that. Then the second thing is regarding buyers specifically. If you call me and say, hey, Cheryl, I found this great house, or here's my criteria, find me some houses to look at. Absolutely, I'm going to do that. We're going to be able to go look at some houses. But first, you're going to have to sign a document that explains my responsibilities to you and specifically lines out our relationship. And those documents have not been created yet. We've been talking about all sorts of possibilities. We're still in the unknown stage right now regarding the specific documents, but we know those two things will happen. So if you know a realtor, give them a hug. This has been a crazy, actually more like 6 months, but 6 weeks since the settlement came down to us. And so we're here to serve you, the National Association of Realtors, the Oklahoma Association of Realtors, and all of our local associations are here to serve you, our buyers and our sellers. And we are trying to do everything we can to get in line with what is required of us now, while still being able to give you the excellent service that protects you and serves your needs. Thanks a lot. I'll come back to you and we'll talk some more.